Meze Alba, the newest IEM from the brand Meze, who's more known for their headphones than their IEM lineup. And that is because their IEMs of the past are not so good. So not a lot of people in the community talk about them. However, with the new Alba here, I think the conversation around Meze IEMs is going to change. And in fact, I think it already has changed. A lot of people are talking about this IEM and hyping it up. So what do I think about it? Let's jump into it. Hey friends, here we go back to Video and Giz Audio. Today we have a review of the Meze Alba single dynamic driver IEM, and I gotta say, this is probably the biggest glow up, the biggest step up a company has ever did in a very long time, because I tried the Meze Advar, the Ray Pentas, and I did not like them at all. Like, they weren't in the realm of acceptable for me. But the Alba, on the other hand, is just solid. For the price, and also for the fact that it is a single dynamic driver as well, it's tuned exceptionally well with a very nice kind of slight U-shaped signature, a bit of bass boost, not muddy in any way, relatively natural sounding mid-range, a bit of energy in the upper mid-range. So some instruments and vocals have extra bit of liveliness to them, a bit of breathiness if you will, extra bit of clarity. And the treble area is actually quite well nuanced. It highlights some micro details really well. There is slightly bit of peakiness, but nowhere near uncomfortable for me. And when you pair all of those great tuning elements with the fact that technical wise this is also very competent, especially again for a single DD, you get a pretty banging product, and again, much better than anything else they've ever released IEM wise. And the best part and slightly hilarious part is that it is one of the more affordable IEMs that they've ever released. But positives aside, let's now talk about the cons of the Alba, because every IEM has a con, right? Con number one is that I think bass can use a bit more punch, maybe a bit more power. I do feel like the bass kind of lags behind everything else. It's definitely more of a clarity and energy focused kind of signature, which is fine, but I feel like with a little bit more bass, it would bring more life to the sound signature overall, while at the same time not really hindering any of the good qualities that it already has. So maybe a bit more of a bass boost to give it that extra sense of physicality that a lot of people enjoy. And con number two is that due to the size or the shape of the IEM, at least for me, and this might only be my problem, is that it was kind of hard for me to get a good seal. I had to tip roll quite a lot, and the best ear tips for me ends up being these SpinFits W1 that gives me the best seal. Now, for those of you who don't know, if you don't get a good seal on an IEM, you're not gonna get the optimal amount of bass. The bass is going to leak. And with these, you'll notice them right away because the bass is already not that much. So when you don't get a good fit on these, the IEM just sounds bright and harsh because the bass is just gone. So if you're demoing these IEMs in stores or anywhere else and you notice that there's just not a lot of bass, it's probably a fit issue, and try swapping around ear tips to fix that problem. Another small nitpick, I guess, would be in the accessories, especially the cable quality here. For $159, I feel like the cable could be better. I mean, it's a decent cable, but it's nothing to really like wow about. It really doesn't feel super premium, especially compared to other Sci-Fi products out nowadays at around the same price. You tend to get better accessories, and I think this is a problem that's more prevalent in Western brands. Western brands don't really pay too much attention to accessories, especially cables, different ear tips, etc. Sennheiser had the same problem with the IE200 where the cable is, that one's just junk. The Alba cable is nice, it's not like the IE200, but I still think it can be improved for the price it's charging. All right, let's move on to overall technical performance. I know I mentioned that it was good, but how good is it? I would land this right behind the B3. It's very clean, it has a lot of clarity, has good micro nuances. All in all, it's just a great set. The only details it's kind of lacking a bit is bass physicality. I don't feel like a super realistic sounding bass hits. It feels a bit dry, a bit flat, and that's pretty much the only thing that's missing. Next is comparison segment. First one is the Moondrop Kato, coming in at $190, and this one, the Alba sounds more natural, sounds more balanced overall. The Kato is more of a vocal forward kind of set, which can come across shouty to some of you guys out there. The Meze Alba does not have that problem. When it comes to details and clarity and timbre, I would say the Alba does better in overall clarity and details, while the Kato's timbre is slightly bit better. If you ask me to pick just one, I would pick the Alba because the presentation overall, the tuning overall is just a lot more natural sounding than on the Kato. And this statement carries over to the other Moondrop IEMs that are tuned similar to the Kato as well, like the Aria 2, the old Aria, Starfield, so on and so forth. And last but not least, a comparison with Sennheiser's IE200, of course, around the same price. I would say these two both have their own place in the market because the IE200 has a bit of a wow factor, its own unique character, if you will, especially in the treble. The way that the IE200 handles the relationship of the upper mid-range and the treble causes it to have this really nice kind of heady soundstage. And that is the wow factor of the IE200. But again, the IE200 also comes with its own host of flaws that I mentioned in the review right here. In contrast, the Alba doesn't really have a standout wow factor, but it also doesn't have a lot of flaws either. Like there's really not much I can nitpick from the Alba as you saw from the earlier parts of the review. So my verdict in this case would be that the Alba is a much safer purchase, and I think a lot more people are going to enjoy the Alba, while at the same time I would still say to try out the IE200 to see if the wow factor is worth it for you over the rest of the cons that the IE200 has. Alright, final verdict time. The Meze Alba gets a green thumbs up. I actually almost gave it a halfway green thumbs up, but with all the cons being so minor, I really couldn't justify giving it a halfway green. So big green it is for the price. I think it's a solid IEM. One thing to note again is that make sure you get a good seal with these. If you notice that there's not a lot of bass, just swap ear tips around until you get a good seal, then you start to hear the bass. But yes, really good job, Meze. I hope that you make more IEMs like this in the future, maybe improve upon it for more expensive models, or even release some more affordable models if you want to do that too. But yeah, keep this as like the kind of the gold standard, if you will, for your future projects, and I'm gonna be very excited to review every single one of them that comes out. But yes, with all that said, that's it for this review today, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bye.
"でもできる気がする」「一緒につ